You wait for a blinding light. You look for white wings. But Scripture reveals a different truth. Angels don't always appear that way. Sometimes they are already in your living room, quietly, guarding, watching. They stand there while you cook, while you sleep, while you worry. You feel safe without knowing why. You feel peace despite the storm outside. This isn't luck, it is presence. You don't see them, but they see you. If you want to see what others miss, hit like and subscribe. Awareness is protection. Here is the exact way to know they are there. Sign 1. Sudden peace. That makes no sense. Have you ever stepped through your front door and felt the weight of the world simply vanish? One moment, your chest is tight with the chaos of the day, heavy with the noise of traffic and the friction of human conflict. The next, you cross the threshold and your breathing deepens without effort. The knot in your stomach loosens. This is not merely psychological relief. It is a spiritual displacement. The world calls it relaxing, but the Spirit calls it sanctuary. When angels abide in your home, they displace the heavy atmosphere of the earth with the density of heaven. They act as a divine filter, pressing back the noise and preventing the dust of the world from settling on your soul. Think of a harbor during a raging season. Outside the sea wall, the waves crash and the winds howl with intent to ruin. But inside the wall, the water is glass. Your door is that seawall. The storm still rages outside, but it is not permitted to enter here. You may have intended to bring your anger home, to fight a battle left unfinished. But in this presence, the fire of rage has no oxygen to burn. Remember the moment David entered Saul's chamber with a harp in his hands. He did not confront the darkness. He did not argue with the torment. He simply released the sound that had been anointed. Scripture tells us in 1 Samuel 16:23 that whenever David played, the tormenting spirit departed from Saul and relief came over him. Not because the darkness was attacked, but because it could not remain where holiness was established. In the same way, anxiety and strife cannot survive in an atmosphere thick with angelic presence. They must flee, leaving you in a stillness that demands nothing but your surrender. Your home is no longer just a building. It has become a shelter for your soul. Sign 2. An unusual urge to pray and worship. Have you noticed that your connection to the divine feels effortless within these walls? Outside, your prayers may feel scattered, bouncing off a ceiling of distraction. But here, the channel is open. You pick up a dusty Bible, and a verse you have read 1,000 times suddenly leaps off the page, speaking directly to the secret burden of your heart. The urge to check your phone fades, replaced by a gentle pull towards stillness and reflection. It is not that you have suddenly become wiser. It is that the interference has been removed. When the angelic host surrounds a home, they clear the spiritual airwaves. The static of the world is silenced, so the whisper of truth can be heard. You are no longer shouting across a canyon. You are whispering in a quiet room. Consider a radio tuner. In the city, the signal is lost in the noise of 1,000 other stations. But here, the dial is perfectly set. The signal is crystal clear. Luke 24:32 captures this sensation perfectly. The disciples asked, "Did not our hearts burn within us while he talked with us?" That burning, that resonance, is the sign that you are in a place where the veil between you and heaven is thin. You are not just reading words. You are receiving instructions. Sign 3. Deep rest. Where anxiety used to be, there is a vast difference between sleeping and truly resting. Do you find that the moment you lie down, the urge to check the locks or leave a light on disappears? The shadows in the corner do not feel empty or threatening. They feel occupied by a silent guard. A profound sense of safety wraps around you like a heavy blanket. This deep, dreamless peace is the sign of a guarded perimeter. Fear cannot torment you when authority stands in the room. You are not just unconscious. Your spirit is being ministered to while your body repairs itself. The enemy's weapons of nightmare, and insomnia are rendered useless at the gate. A sheep sleeps soundly in the field, not because the wolves have vanished, but because the shepherd is visible. You are that sheep. The walls of your room are the sheepfold, and the sentries are posted. You do not need to watch, for you are being watched over. Look at Peter in the book of Acts. Chained between two soldiers and facing execution at dawn, he was not pacing in fear. He was asleep. The account in Acts 12:6-7 tells us that he slept so deeply that the angel sent to rescue him had to strike his side to wake him. Even in the face of peril, the presence of the Lord brought a rest that defied logic. Your sleep is a testimony of your trust. Sleep in peace, for he who watches over you will not slumber. Sign 4. Certain people stop coming around. Have you noticed that certain people no longer visit your home? Do you feel a sudden, awkward silence when a conversation turns toward gossip or negativity? You have not changed your hospitality, yet some guests seem restless. They fidget. They check the time. They leave early. It is not because you are unwelcoming. It is because the atmosphere of your home has become hostile to their heavy burdens. The world calls this isolation, but the Spirit calls it purification. Light and darkness cannot occupy the same space. When angels take up residence, they raise the spiritual vibration of the room. Those who cling to chaos or deceit find this purity uncomfortable. It acts like a repellent to the spirits they carry. Imagine a furnace refined by fire. Impurities must separate from the gold. They cannot withstand the heat. In Judges 7, God told Gideon to send home thousands of soldiers who were not ready. He stripped the crowd down to the essential few. He did not do this to weaken Gideon, but to ensure the victory. Do not mourn the exit of those who drain you. Their departure is the evidence of your protection. Your circle is getting smaller because your calling is getting higher. Sign 5. Clarity and answers come faster. There are seasons where every step feels like wading through mud, but suddenly, the resistance breaks. You face a complex problem, a broken appliance, a financial tangle, a family dispute, and the solution arrives in a quiet flash of clarity. It is effortless. The frantic energy of trying to fix it is replaced by a rhythm of grace. Delays vanish. Mistakes are easily corrected. You might think you have simply become more efficient. You have not. You have entered a slipstream of divine favor. The angelic hosts are not just guardians. They are ministering spirits sent to clear the debris from your path. They go before you to straighten the crooked places. Think of a river. When the water level is low, the boat scrapes against every rock. But when the floodwaters rise, the boat glides over the obstacles without touching them. This is the promise of Isaiah 45:2, where the Lord declares He will go before you and level the mountains. The obstacles are still there, yet you float above them. You are being carried by a current that is stronger than your own will. Struggle has been replaced by alignment. Sign 6. Resources last longer than expected. Look closely at what you possess. You may notice a strange defiance of logic. The groceries last a few days longer. The old car keeps running when it should have broken down. The bank account, though not overflowing, never hits zero. You brace for lack, yet you always have exactly enough. It feels as though the decay that touches the rest of the world has been slowed down within your walls. This is not simple frugality. It is the sanctification of your resources. When the presence of the Lord fills a house, it touches the material as well as the spiritual. Your assets are being shielded from the devourer that eats away at the fruit of your labor. Recall the widow in 1 Kings 17. She had only a handful of flour and a little oil. She expected the end. Yet, because she aligned herself with the prophet of God, the jar of flour was not used up, and the jug of oil did not run dry. The math did not make sense, but the miracle was undeniable. The provision matched the need day after day. You are living under an economy that the world cannot calculate. Sign 7. Accidents miss you by inches. Think back to the moments you called bad luck. You could not find your keys. A sudden phone call delayed you at the door. You were frustrated. You felt held back. But later, you saw the accident on the route you would have taken. Or perhaps you watch your child stumble, a fall that should have caused great harm, yet they stand up without a scratch. Do not dismiss these moments as coincidence. They are interceptions. An angelic sentry sees the timeline you cannot see. They intervene in the physical realm to alter your steps by mere seconds, removing you from the path of destruction. In Numbers 22, Balaam beat his donkey because it refused to move. He was angry at the delay. He did not know that the donkey saw the angel of the Lord standing in the road with a drawn sword, blocking a fatal path. Your frustration is often a sign of your rescue. The delay was not an obstacle. It was a barricade built for your safety. What you thought was a hindrance was actually a hand holding you back from the edge. Do not go back to sleep. You have seen the evidence. Now, you must trust the presence. When you acknowledge the guardians in your home, the shield around you hardens. Ignorance leaves the door ajar, but awareness locks it tight. If you accept this divine security over your household, type "guarded" in the comments to seal this covenant and declare your home off limits to darkness. To keep your spiritual eyes open and stay one step ahead of the shadows, click like and subscribe. You are never fighting alone.